Oh, well, all right, y'all. So, what's up, y'all? Hey, y'all. How y'all doing today? So welcome, welcome back to Love 24 Hours here, where we review content that can either brighten or enlighten your day. All right, y'all. So yeah, welcome back. Shout out to. I'm gonna do something a tad bit different. I don't have any screenshots for y'all. I wasn't even sure if y'all wanted me to even post screenshot of y'all. But shout out to my good friend Fat Cat. Shout out to you. Thank you for the love and support, and also shout out to my homegirl Mel. Love you, sister. Thank you for the love and support. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to y'all. So and of course shout out to the Love Tribe. Love you guys as well. Can't do this without showing you guys a little bit of love there. What else was? Oh yeah. So you guys may have noticed that you may or may have not noticed that I deleted the last video. I had to go back and edit and take a part out. So yeah, so sorry about that, guys. Sorry about the inconvenience. And so you should see that I'm probably gonna repost the video after I post this one. So yeah. So sorry about that, y'all. So I think that was about it for today. Yeah. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the video, shall we?
I've experienced firsthand how emotions are attached to our hair and beauty. The beauty industry does not always understand these emotions and what we need. I want to give people space to feel their own strength and tell their stories, so we can continue to support and take care of each other.
Love is the most nutritional ingredients on earth. Love. And there's a lot of different scholarly articles talking about these things where they went to an orphanage and they took two orphanages and put them together. One orphanage, they gave them good food, they gave them good nutrition, they gave them good water, they gave them TVs, they gave them everything, but they did not give them any type of physical affection. They didn't spend no time with them, but they gave them the best environment to actually thrive in. And then they took another one that didn't have none of these nutritional things, but they spent time with them, they rocked them to bed, they read them bedtime stories, and they made sure they hugged them for at least 5 minutes a day. Guess who came out more nutrition? Not the ones who ate the good food or drank the good water. It was the ones that was living poor but had their mothers and fathers by their side. They built more amino acid structures and they had more cellular integrity than the ones that had the good food. So the last ingredient is always love. That's your number one nutritional.
Round of applause, man.
Thank you for sharing.
People don't attack you. It's almost physically impossible. They're not saying anything bad. They're not thinking anything bad. They're not acting on anything to hurt you. Not when you're laughing and happy. If somebody attacks you, it's for one reason. They are not happy with themselves. It has nothing to do with you.
1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21. The sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer.
Is spellcasting. When something goes wrong in your life and you start praying, you're using words to alchemically change your external world. This is a spell, but you are doing it wrong. When you talk, you're creating torus fields, an electromagnetic field, because magic is magnetism, influencing magnetic fields, and you do this every time you talk. However, when you pray from a place of negativity, from a place of suffering, you are sending negative energy out into the ether, and you will get more negative energy back. Instead, you want to pray from a high vibration and believe you already have something. Every word you say is molding and shaping your mind, and your mind is the root cause of your external world. And when people place their hands together to pray, they're actually balancing the two hemispheres of the brain, because they represent the hemispheres of the brain. If you want to protect your electromagnetic field around your body, this EMF technology necklace will help you.
You speak about this path with 4 stages of the development of consciousness. Can you just share with our viewers about that structure so
Absolutely.
they can kind of see that?
The first one we just described is victim. You know, they did it to me. It's somebody else's fault. That doesn't mean that somebody didn't do anything to you. Doesn't mean that bad things didn't happen. We're not discounting that. We're just saying we're not living in that frequency. We're aware that that happened, but we can now move out of that through the power of forgiveness, through the power of giving up blame, and through the power of taking responsibility for our own life. Mm-hmm. Then we move into stage 2. Stage 2 is the manifester stage. I'll give it to you like this first. First stage is to us, something is happening to us. The second stage is by us. We're doing something. The third stage is through us. Energy is moving through us. Mm-hmm. The fourth stage is as us. We are the energy. We are the presence. Mm-hmm. So in stage 2, you're using your mind power. You're using the art of visualization, the creative use of your imagination. You're re-enchanting the imagination to best case scenarios. You're changing your conversation. You're learning about declarations, affirmations, writing, how you want to live your life. You're basically recontextualizing your mind. The mind is a set of law, a set of way we've been inputted. You're changing all of that. Mm-hmm. We're doing this. Then something happens, and we start to realize that there's an order in the universe that we didn't create. We didn't create that order. We depend on the order. So then we learn about releasing ourselves to its surrender, yielding, allowing. By us is masculine. Through us is feminine. By us is, I call the Nike stage, just do it. Make it happen. Mm-hmm. Stage 3 is make it welcome, because it's happening cosmically. Mm-hmm. So I start to release myself to it. I'm available, but it's come from the hard work I've done on stage 2. Don't transcend what you haven't mastered. So definitely we master stage 2. But we yield into stage 3. And then we begin to have pinprick awarenesses that this life, this presence, it's us. We're it. It's not just operating through us, but it's operating and expressing as us. I'm in it, it's in me. There's no separation. Mm-hmm. The wave is a function of the ocean. Yes. The sunbeam is an expression of the sun. No sun, no sunbeam. No ocean, no wave. No presence, no us.
Exactly.
So we start to have pinprick awarenesses around that. And some people are afraid of that. They think it's blasphemy. They think you can be at one with God or at one with the presence. No, it's blaspheme to limit it. Mm. You see, we don't want to limit it because it's omnipresent, because it's everywhere. It must be where I am.
Yeah.
And it must be who I am.
People who have hidden a lot of traumas and bad things that happened to them, now is the time they're going to come to the surface. And people don't quite know how to deal with all of that, because now they have to face it. They thought they buried it, but once it comes to the surface, you can't pretend they don't exist anymore. You have to deal with them. And if you don't deal with them, well, you're going to be in trouble. On a planetary scale, that is happening as well. That's why the earthquakes and volcanoes and floods and tornadoes and fires, all of those are going to be with us for quite a while yet. That's the planetary shift. And I think that may have a lot to do with the fact of our collective consciousness too. All the negative stuff that this planet has been through for the last 5,000-6,000 years.
A person would sit down and let their body relax, totally relax, and then start to visualize in their mind, see themselves the way they want to see themselves. See how you'd like to live your life. See yourself living it that way. Take that picture and describe it. Write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out. Start to read it and read it and read it and read it every day. Carry it around and keep reading it. The one point that all the great teachers all down through history have all agreed on, they've been in complete unanimous agreement on it, we become what we think about. A lot of people will laugh at this and say, that doesn't make any sense. Now, it may be fantasy at first, it might even appear to us as being a lie. But if you read it often enough, you'll start to believe it.
So our thoughts control our actions.
Our thoughts control our feelings.
Okay.
Our feelings control our actions.
Like, fear is not real. It's not. Fear. False evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's not. I have fears. So I'm not saying this is like, oh, I don't have any fear. No, like, I have fears. But then in that moment, I know that that's just Derek. That's DG. That's not me. I don't feel fear. Derek does. So I have to, like, be aware that that's just the ego creating a narrative so it can continue to exist. So how do I get behind me? What are you talking? These fears. Wait, what? And then I get to the root of why the fear exists. Oh, that's a program. I got taught to fear this. Mommy and Daddy taught me that because they feared it. Why do they fear? Oh, because their mom and dad. You see, fear gets passed down. So this is how you break the generational curse of fear. You look them up. You look them in the face. You look fear in the face and say, what's your name? Where'd you come from? Why are you here? Let me see what you smell like. Don't run from it. Fear wants you to keep running from it. Fear is darkness. Darkness cannot exist where there's light. Light is your awareness. So the more aware I become of it, the more I will see that the darkness was merely an illusion. Darkness is not darkness. It's just simply the lacking of light.
So what are you going to do when the truth comes out? Go back to your 9 to 5? Go back to your slavery job on the production line? As I said many, many times now, if you survived for a reason. And that reason is not to go back to your slave mentality. You need to start to feel a bit more deeper. Get reconnected to the true you and rediscover why you survived. I've said this many, many times now. I'm constantly trying to motivate people to remember who they are. And more particularly this time around, a survivor for the new world. I think anybody who is truly awake knows that there is more to life. And you can manipulate that to your advantage. While most people are working or using it to their disadvantage. And I said this probably more times than I can ever imagine. Remember, life is just a mind game, and it is. The only difference now is that, as I said this many times before as well, the game of life has been hijacked, and we are here to get it back on track. That's basically the bottom line in a nutshell. So when the new world is reborn, you have a job to do. But I guarantee you, you will enjoy it because you chose it. It's the reason you were born this time around. If you come somewhere like this, it'll take you closer to your connection, the truth of you. You know, years ago, I had no idea about lots of things, really. I was pretty much kept myself to myself, had my own thoughts, had my own interests. But I was born for a reason, like all of you. But somehow I managed to hold on to my intuition. And I was following that intuition, even though I wasn't aware of it. It took me from place to place, had adventures. I nearly died a number of times and I survived. I had a guardian angel. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't even know what a guardian angel was. The things that I've learned from being a very scientific, logical person is mind-boggling. And I accept it because I've been shown proof. Proof for me. Doesn't mean I can prove it to you. But as you walk your journey, you will see these things too. You will be shown proof. It doesn't mean you can prove it to other people. It's not about that. It's proof for you to walk your journey to your true destiny and dreams. And the more people that get connected to it, the more will be shown the proof of them, so everybody will eventually know. It's not about proving it to other people. Never was. It's about you. It's your trip, your journey. But once everybody's connected, everybody knows. This is the problem. People have been so separated. And the one thing I will say, absolutely, again, it has nothing to do with religion. Religion is man-made. It is mind control. And eventually, that will be proven without question or doubt. Some people are in for a big shock. Because as much as the education system was corrupt, so were many other things. They made them so convincing that some people couldn't see it any other way. When I was a kid, my father used to say to me, when he was at school, the teachers would put the fear of God into you. They would say, if you do this or if you don't do that, you will go to hell in the fiery furnace for an eternity. He said that was a pretty good deterrent not to do it again. That's called mind control. Religion knew how to control people, put the fear of God into them, send them to the fiery furnace for eternity, burning in hell. My dad said sometimes all they did was something that was quite minor, but they get the same threat as anybody else. Kids were terrified that they might go to hell. Of course, some of them, who were a bit more wise, didn't really care. The good thing about getting older is you've seen quite a lot, you've experienced quite a lot, you've heard a lot of stories. It's been an interesting journey for me. It took me a long time to get here. I was born for 2020. I was born to create something wonderful for the new humanity. New education, better minds. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with your new coming freedom? If you can't see that, you won't get it. This is the thing. This is why I talk about the awake, not awake. Because they may not get what they're expecting. Or maybe I should rephrase that differently. You know what I mean. Basically, you get what you think about. And regardless how wonderful the world is, they probably won't see it, and they won't get it. If somebody even piled a load of cash into their lap, they'd spend it quickly before it suddenly disappears because they would be expecting a catch. Anyway, I've been over that ground before. The bottom line is this. Having created a mind education company, which I know is going to be very successful, I've no doubt. I've been told, I've been shown, I've seen it all. All I have to do is be patient and allow it to basically create itself, really. I just follow my intuition and I do what I feel is the next step. And this is where we all are. We're at the end of the badness. We're getting closer to the beginning of the wonderful new world. But you have to do it yourself. They're not going to do everything for you. The world may change on the surface, but your job is your work. You have to do it. You need to get connected and follow your intuition for that. Who knows where you will go? You may even get insight to where you're going. I did. My life has been so miraculous and interesting. This dyslexic educational failure wrote a book about it. A lot of these things that we have, they're not what they appear to be. All kinds of things are there to make you be lesser than who you really are. They don't want you to become they don't want you to have your genius potential that everybody's born with. Sorry, I'm not concentrating, I'm trying to maneuver a tree. I prefer making videos outdoors, you see. Trouble is, it can be a little bit hazardous sometimes. You need to rediscover who you really are. You need time alone. Go for a walk. I was thinking of walking across there, but on video, maybe not. Last time I did something reckless like that, I broke a shoulder, so maybe not. And I filmed myself doing it. Don't do what I do. Do what I tell you. I don't want anybody going for walks and having accidents because be sensible. Take care of yourself. Get reconnected. And follow those destiny and dreams. Because now is the time for you to do that.
Space that's different than that. The angelic mind looks at things differently and recognizes that as a conscious being, it has a choice as to which ideas it will represent. Which ideas it will say, okay, this is the way I say it's real. The angelic mind realizes that every thought it thinks is an energy pattern that goes into the body and creates part of the manifestation template. Your thoughts affect your DNA template. Your DNA template is the structure that throws energy around in very specific ways that creates the projection of the external hologram that we walk. When you mind control a mass of people, like has been done here, through misinformation for so many generations, you literally have them fence themselves in, like putting an electric fence around themselves, where they can't grow or expand anymore. One of the things we can do for ourselves is to realize our power as a manifester. Now, there's a lot of tricks to that. It's a lot. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm a manifester. I'm a face of God. I will right now manifest myself, let's see, shall it be a Maserati or a Toyota? Poof, there it is. Doesn't work that way down here. Not yet. In the higher dimensional densities, it actually does, where you find thought form, bounces right out into reality. But what happens here is there's a delay process. And your thought form that you're thinking on the three-dimensional level with the conscious mind in 3D gets affected by what programs are in the two-dimensional level of your template and the first-dimensional level of your template. And by the time it pops out somewhere in reality, it usually looks a lot different than what you intended. Sometimes it's directly opposite of what you were trying to make happen. There's a lot of us that hold an idea, we're not supposed to make things happen. We're supposed to just accept what God makes happen. Depends on what God that is. I mean, the God that really created us, that primal, eternal, omnipresent source, wants us to grow up to be like it. Co-creators. It wants to have fun with us. We're you, I'm you, yeah, we can all do this together. It doesn't want to limit your ability. We're supposed to learn how to use our mind to direct energy to create the desired results we want. And we can do this. And there's nothing wrong or ungodly with doing this, as long as we do it with a reverence to that source, into something I call divine right order, which means whatever the original intention of God's creation of this time matrix was, and take it all the way up to the time matrix level, whatever the original intention was for here, and I'm part of this time matrix, and there's an intention for me too, this is how I want to create. I agree to create within divine right order, and I know that Source will help me to create within divine right order. You're not going against the flow of Source. You're not doing anything that's going to cause harm if you're working with the concept of divine right order. Then it comes down to, okay, now I have permission, I've given myself permission, And I've definitely said that I'm not going to be a creator that abuses anybody, and I wouldn't want to have so much power that I could actually abuse somebody and not realize it. Some people block their power right there. I'm afraid to have my power back. Somewhere I know I'm a creator, and I was a part of some kind of really nasty dramas, and I really made stupid choices, and people got hurt, and I feel terribly guilty still. There's a part of us that carries some of that imprint, where we made some bad decisions and political dramas that had to do with terror, and terror almost blew up. That's kind of the scourge of the human DNA imprint. There's some very nasty memories in the DNA imprint where we feel really bad because we made some messes. Forgiveness comes in here. We have to forgive ourselves and say, hey, we'll do better now. You need to entrust yourself with the fact that you have the power to create. These are the things you need to do before the fact. You worry about how do I create. First you have to realize you can and God wants you to. Then you have to give yourself permission and trust yourself and know that you're a divine enough being. You have your Christos template. If you choose to create through your Christos template, you can trust your judgment. You don't have to worry that you're going to mess up. You don't have to worry that you're going to create things that you hate or make a mess of your life when you decided to take it. Instead of just flow with it and let it run over you, you decide to actually try to direct it. Give yourself permission. Know God wants you to. You're supposed to. It's part of our responsibility in becoming conscious co-creators. Then we get into, well, how do we do this? If we're allowed to, and I give myself permission, what do I do next? You realize that every time you think a thought. Now I'm going to say this over and over because I'm setting an imprint in your mind fields. Every time I think a thought, I create a scalar wave pattern that sets a blueprint for manifestation. Thoughts are things, and there's a scientific reality behind that. You don't have to know the scientific reality to realize that thoughts are things. And they're extremely powerful. How did God create the time matrix? And everything in it? He thought it. And I say E, if you notice. It might sound like he, but I want to know when I refer to God, sometimes it comes out as E. It's not a he or a she. I will not say he. I do not refer to a father God. I am not either a feminist that's upset with male God figures. I don't say she either. We end up with an E in those contexts, just so you know. It is a source force power. It is so far beyond polarization and genderization that it becomes funny. So when it kind of slips off the tongue, you say, God, he, you say she, and people go, now that's a funny combination. God, she did what? Part of you giggles, like, oh, that'd be nice for a change, But the real important thing about understanding part of the nature of God is realizing it's not male or female. It is an it, and it is a very sacred word.
Thank you.
Because when you get into genderizing God, gender is created by polarity. God's consciousness, the wholeness of God's consciousness, is unified, not polarized. That's the physics of it. So it is not genderized. So you want to think when you hit those religions or belief systems that are saying worship He will save me, Father God. You might want to think of the name Anu, because it has to do with the fallen Anu Elohim matrix that decided he was a he and wanted to make sure all the little humans down there, I used to call them puny humans, wanted to worship the good old Father God, that if they were really nice, he'd take care of them, and if not, he'd flatten them. This is where our God concepts came from the old twists and the religious doctrines that were given to us by the fallen angelics, who were interested in having this Templar. They wanted Earth's Stargate system. They were pretty good at manifesting what they wanted. They've had control over it for quite a long time. But you know what? We have more ability than they do as manifestors. We have 12 strands, which allows us to have the guide that they don't have anymore because they refuse to have it. It's the Christos template, the original thought that the Brennau created. Actually, God created it through the Janus sound fields, and the Janus created it through the Brennau, and the Brennau created it through the Christos template. We have the Christos. We have our connection to Source available to us if we recognize it's there and begin to open it in our bodies. To manifest something requires a few things. One is a very clear thought. You don't think of what you don't have. You acknowledge a space you want to fill and acknowledge that you have the power to do so. One of the fastest ways to create manifestation is to get yourself into an inner space where you live a little hologram inside your head as if it already was, and then take that outside of your head and act that way all day. And it seems really weird. Well, I know I don't have $1 million in the bank. You know, pretend you do. Just let the emotional feeling run through you. Get past the block that's stopping you from having that condition. Now, you don't need $1 million. When we come to money, this is the big stumbling block for all the people. There's a lot of good manifestors in the New Age movement, but the one big thing that everybody tends to trip over is, well, why can't I manifest more money? Money is the symbol of power. And if you mistake the power, if you mistake the power for the money, or the money for the power, you don't get it. You need to see that you have the power right now. If you want to go on a vacation to Tahiti, don't have the money. How do I manifest the money? Everybody focuses on making the money happen. Make that money come. The money doesn't come. What you need to focus on is the desired outcome you want. Picture yourself on a beach in Tahiti. Just say, wow, and I have lots of extra power to create other things too. That power could be $1 million in the bank, but it doesn't have to be, because I know my Christos self will take care of me. If you realize you have a Christos self and all you need to do is work with that self, it will help you bring in the things you need most. It will also help you to see if you're trying to manifest something that is a distraction or a compensation for something you're feeling lacking that really needs healing, not a distraction, you'll have a hard time manifesting those things. If you work with your Christos self by going into that space that we went into in the meditation, you can manifest anything that would be truly meaningful for you. Some people use manifestation power in a way where they manifest all sorts of stuff. Junk. Sometimes it's expensive junk. Sometimes it's nice junk. It's nice to have, like, you know, the manifest junk of a nice house. It's wonderful to have a house. You know, if you don't have a house, work on a house if you want one. But some people just use the principle of manifestation.
Bing. Binky.
Okay, who in this house wants to go for a car ride?
Chandler, could I be wearing any more clothes?
Alright, y'all. So yeah, let me go ahead and get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So love and light to every last one of you. Please enjoy the rest of your day or night or whatever. And until the next video, peace out.